Seoul has experienced 34 tropical nights in a row from July 21st to August 23rd, the longest streak of such phenomenon since modern weather monitoring started in Seoul in 1907.
서울에서 지난 7월 21일부터 8월 23일까지 34일 연속으로 열대야 현상이 나타났습니다. 이는 서울에서 기상 관측이 시작된 1907년 이래 최장 기록입니다. Well, it did feel hot for a long time. Now we have the data.
To say the least.
Yeah.
You know, I was out last night and coming out this morning, it did feel a little cooler. And if it did, the weather and the numbers back that. If you look at the data from the Korea Meteorological Administration, we had 34 straight days here in Seoul of tropical nights, and that means temperatures staying above 25 degrees Celsius from 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. But just overnight, I believe it went down to 24.9. So that streak is just barely over on a technicality.
그렇군요. 엄밀히 따지자면은 on a technicality or technically speaking 엄밀히 따지자면은 이 25도보다 살짝 낮은 24.9도, 24.5도 뭐 이렇게 전국적으로 저기 서울에서 기록이 되고 있어서요. 그래서 이제 드디어 그 피크는 좀 지났다. 열대야가 이제는 끝난 것으로 보이기는 합니다만 그래도 아직까지는 덥긴 합니다.
Yeah, it's safe to say that we lived through the hottest summer in Korea ever.
Yeah.
At least since such data has been recorded.
Exactly. And that's what, 1907
Yes.
up until now.
117 years it took.
Wow. Okay, there's this word, streak, in the headline.
Yeah, we talked about a 34-day streak. A streak would be a consecutive series. Normally a streak is like a line or a mark.
Right.
But when we talk about consecutive days here, a 34-day streak of tropical nights, that's what that means.
1년의 무엇이라는 명사인데요. A 34-day streak, the longest streak라고 해서 쭉 이어진 여기서는 tropical nights죠. 열대야를 말합니다.
When you're talking about records, especially in sports, this term is used a lot. If you're a baseball fan, Joe DiMaggio has probably one of the most unbreakable records. He had a 56-game hitting streak.
56 games.
So he had at least one hit for 56 games straight back in 1941, and it still hasn't been broken.
He was married to Judy Garland at one point, wasn't he?
He was also connected with Marilyn Monroe,
was
I
it
believe.
Marilyn Monroe?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it was Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah,
That's
so
right. I knew he was
sports.
Yeah, married to some famous actress. Indeed. 아하, 그런 기록이 있었군요. 그래서 연속으로 뭐뭐뭐가 있다라고 할 때 a 56-game streak, a 34-day streak 이렇게 표현을 할 수 있겠고 그 다음에 weather monitoring이라는 표현을 보겠습니다.
Yeah, and that's what the KMA does, right? When they monitor the weather, they're watching it or they're keeping track of it. They're checking it. When we talk about a monitor, like a computer monitor, we're looking at it, right? So what weather authorities do is they keep a close track of the weather and the phenomenon.
Exactly. 날씨를 모니터링하는 거니까요. 날씨 관측이 되겠습니다. 1907년부터 이런 열대야와 관련된 기상 관측이 시작이 됐는데 그때부터 지금까지 이렇게나 오랫동안 연달아서 열대야가 나타난 적은 없었다고 합니다. Let's have a look at this headline again. Seoul experienced 34 tropical nights in a row from July 21st to August 23rd, the longest streak of such phenomenon since modern weather monitoring started in Seoul in 1907. 자, 그리고 지금 많은 지역에서 듣고 계실 텐데요. 여러분이 계신 지역에서는 열대야 때문에 얼마나 고생하셨는지도 알려주세요. Let's move on to the next headline.
More than 1,800 fires were reported at accommodations across the country between 2019 and 2023, raising concerns over a lack of fire safety facilities in buildings that were built before relevant equipment was mandated by law.
2019년부터 2023년까지 최근 5년간 국내 숙박시설에서 발생한 화재 건수가 1,800건을 넘는 것으로 나타남에 따라 관련 장비가 법으로 의무화되기 전에 지어진 건물의 부족한 화재 안전시설에 대한 우려가 커지고 있습니다. That's a lot of fires over a 5-year period.
Yeah, and of course, this coming out after that tragic incident last week
Yeah.
in the city of Bucheon, where 7 people perished
Yes.
and a dozen were injured, I believe, when that fire erupted at a hotel. But if you look at the data, this according to data from the National Fire Agency here. We mentioned over 1,800 fires in that short span of 5 years. 645 cases were from motels, another 300 or so from pensions or vacation rentals, lodges, and 270 at hotels.
Okay.
So
Mostly motels.
Mostly motels, and a big reason for that has to do with what motels are required to have in terms of fire safety. A law was passed in 2005 that required buildings over 11 stories to have sprinkler systems. And then in 2018, that was, I guess that was expanded to hotels that were 6 stories or higher. And then 2 years ago, it was for all accommodations, but they did
Right.
not apply it retroactively, meaning that any building built before 2022 didn't have to abide by this new law.
그렇군요. 2005년에는 이제 11층 이상이 되는 이런 숙박시설에는 반드시 스프링클러를 설치를 해라. 그래서 화재에 대비한 그런 법령이 나왔는데 2018년도에는 6층 이상으로 조금 더 확대가 됐다가 2022년 재작년에는 모든 숙박시설에 이런 화재 대비한 그런 스프링클러를 설치하라고 했지만 그 이전에 지어진 모텔이나 호텔 같은 경우에는 강제성이 없는 모양입니다. 그러다 보니까 이제 그 이전에 지어진 많은 숙박시설에서 화재가 이렇게 다 많이 발생했다라는 얘기인데요. 여기서 궁금하신 점이 있을 수도 있어요. 이제 우리말로 1800이라는 거를 아까 쉐인 선생님이
Yeah.
뭐라고 하셨죠?
I say 1,800.
저도 그렇게 얘기하는데 자, 왜 그러냐면 영어에서는 이 뒤에 00, 100으로 탁 떨어지는 숫자가 있을 때 두 가지 방법으로 읽을 수 있어요. 1,800 해도 되고 1,800 이렇게 읽을 수도 있거든요. 그냥 이제 두 가지 방법인데 보통은 1,800가 조금 더 쉬워요.
It's more casual,
네.
I would say.
네, 네.
The correct way to say it would be 1,800.
Yeah,
but if
yeah.
you're speaking, if you're reading news headlines, 1,800 kind of rolls off the tongue a little.
맞아요. 그게 좀 발음하기도 그냥 좀 직관적으로 읽기도 이해하기도 쉬워서 원어민들이 보통은 뒤에 이렇게 100으로 탁 떨어지는 숫자가 있을 때는 앞에 그러니까 뭐 1,500, 1,900 뭐 이런 거 있을 때 그래서 1,500, 1,900 이렇게 읽기도 합니다.
It's fewer
날짜뿐만
syllables
아니라.
too, so it's
그렇죠.
shorter and quicker,
네,
I suppose.
그렇습니다.
1,800. Yeah.
그렇죠. 그래서 연도뿐만 아니라 우리가 이제 어떤 것의 개수를 말할 때도 이렇게 숫자를 읽을 수도 있다. 참고하시면 되겠고요. 첫 번째 표현 보겠습니다. 숙박시설 accommodations.
Yeah, so accommodations are used to describe any space related to any traveling space. So
Yeah.
we can talk about lodging, but also the food, the services they provide, and it's usually used in the plural. So how are your accommodations?
right.
Have you booked your accommodations for your trip, for
Okay.
instance?
Yeah, or another term, maybe not used in casual conversation, but it would be, accommodation facility.
Sure.
Just to talk about a hotel
Right.
or a motel. And there are many different types of accommodations out there.
The vast difference between motels and hotels. Motel is actually a combination of the word. Did you know? Motor and hotel.
Yeah.
Because if you go to the U.S., a lot of the motels are situated by the road, so they're lower level facilities or buildings, and they're very convenient. So you can just drive up to the front door of your room.
Yeah, exactly. And in the UK, you have something called bed and breakfast, B&Bs.
B&Bs, yes.
Yeah, which is sort of like, a homestay, I guess, in a way. I don't know if you have anything like that in Canada
sure.
or America.
Sure. You also have inns.
Inns.
Inns are also very small accommodations like that. Right?
맞아요. 인는 여관에 해당이 되고, B&B는 B&B도 여관이랑 비슷해요.
When you say B&B, I think of, residing somewhere in the French countryside, with greenery around you, eating your baguette, perhaps.
맞아요. 네, 민박이랑 좀 비슷하기도
Maybe, yeah.
하고, 근데 장기간이 아니라
Yeah.
그냥 뭐 하루 이틀 이렇게 여행하면서 갈 수 있는 accommodation, 숙박 시설입니다.
And if I may, I want to point out pension. Pension is also something that's, I think, used mostly in Korea,
Yeah.
we're talking about vacation rentals or lodging. But normally pension is something you get when you
Right.
retire.
그렇죠. 원어민들이 생각하는 펜션은 연금이 제일 먼저 떠오르기 때문에 우리나라에서는 사실 이 숙박시설 중에 하나로 펜션이 굉장히 많잖아요. 저도 펜션에 놀러 가는 걸 참 좋아하는데 서양에서는 아마 I'm gonna stay at a pension 이렇게 말하면 이해를 못할 수도
They may
있습니다.
not, yeah.
그게 무슨 말이야? 이럴 수도 있습니다. 자, 그다음에 relevant equipment.
Yeah, if something's relevant, it means we're talking about the issue or the matter at hand. And equipment, in terms of this headline, fire equipment would be any resources, supplies, or materials related to fire safety.
그렇죠. 해당되는 relevant라는 것은 해당되다, 관련이 있다. equipment, 장비. 그러니까 화재를 위한, 화재에 대비한 여러 가지 장비들이 의무화되기 전에 지어진 숙박시설 같은 경우 지금도 상당히 좀 위험에 많이 노출된 것이 아니냐라는 그런 우려가 나오고 있는 것입니다. 다시 한번 읽어볼게요. More than 1,800 fires were reported at accommodations across the country between 2019 and 2023, raising concerns over a lack of fire safety facilities in buildings that were built before relevant equipment was mandated by law.
A U.S. government report has concluded that fluoride in drinking water at twice the recommended limit is linked with lower IQ in children.
미국 정부 보고서에서 마시는 물에 들어있는 권장량의 2배에 달하는 불소 성분이 어린이의 IQ 저하를 초래할 수 있다는 결론이 나왔습니다.
Yeah.
So this is an American report.
Yes.
Yeah.
Taking data from various countries, in fact. But before you go running and preventing your children from drinking water,
Yeah.
if you look at the study, these researchers found, and their conclusion was with moderate confidence that there is a correlation or a link between exposure to fluoride
Right.
and lower IQ in children.
And this is the first time a federal report
Yes.
regarding this has been announced, right?
Yes, exactly. And, low levels of fluoride in water has long been thought to be one of the greatest public health achievements. Because fluoride, it's in toothpaste,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Toothpaste, I was always told, make sure you buy a toothpaste that contains fluoride. But with fluoride in drinking water, it also helps with your teeth. In terms of preventing cavities, it also
Right.
strengthens the enamel in your teeth as well. But too much of a good thing, again, here, could be detrimental to children.
Yeah.
It found that the U.S. federal health officials, their recommended level is 0.7 milligrams.
Okay.
Per liter of water. The WHO has sort of a higher limit of 1.5 milligrams. So anything double that, they're saying there could be, with moderate confidence, a link to lower IQ.
Our listeners may be wondering what sort of water contains that much fluoride. I understand it's tap water, water at sort of fountains,
Yes.
like drinking water in the park and things like that.
Yeah, just normal water that's treated does contain chemicals, usually chemicals that are okay to consume. But again, too much of a good thing could
Yeah.
be detrimental.
아, 그래요. 자, 불소가 많이 들어가 있는 물, 특히 이제 수돗물 같은 걸 얘기하고 있다고 합니다. 그런 경우에는 좋지 않을 수도 있다. 유해하다라는 이제 미국 그 연방 차원의 전국적으로 발표된 보고서로는 이런 내용이 처음 발표된 거라고 합니다. 그럼 아마 이제 작은 연구들은 그동안에 좀 있었던 것 같은데 미국 정부에서 맞다. 이렇게 불소가 많이 들어가면은 아이의 IQ 저하에 저는 영향을 미칠 수 있다라는 그런 얘기죠.
Right. And the U.S. this is an important issue because in Korea we have access to healthy, clean water.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, there are neighborhoods and communities in the U.S. that don't have access to clean water.
Yeah.
Lead in rotting pipes
Wow.
is a big issue in the U.S., especially in lower income neighborhoods.
아, 그렇군요. 우리는 뭐 사실 어디서나 깨끗한 수돗물을 늘 볼 수 있고 마실 수 있고 요리할 때도 쓰고 뭐 그렇게 하잖아요. 그런데 이제 미국에서는 그렇지 않은 지역들도 많이 있다고 합니다. 그래서 불소가 어느 정도 들어간 것은 이제 좋은 것으로 알려져 있고 우리가 치약 속에도 불소가 다 이제 들어가 있잖아요. 플로라이드라고 하는데 그렇지만 이제 다량은 아이들의 IQ 저하에 영향을 미친다. 놀라운 스터디입니다. 첫 번째 표현 좀 볼게요. If it's above the recommended limit.
Yeah, when we're talking about foods or chemicals and things like that, authorities, it's the suggested or urged maximum or
Yeah.
the cap or the ceiling of certain things. Excuse me. Yeah.
recommended 추천되는 여기서는 권장되는 limit 한도가 되겠죠. 그래서 권장량 이상으로 불소가 함유가 돼 있으면은 문제가 될 수 있다. And it can be linked to something.
Yeah, associated or connected,
Yeah.
related to something.
그렇죠. 네, 관련이 있다라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. 자, 다시 한번 읽어볼게요. A US government report has concluded that fluoride in drinking water at twice the recommended limit is linked with lower IQ in children. Now let's move on to the next headline.
Mireille Lee has become the first South Korean national to win the William Saroyan International Prize for Writing, a prestigious U.S. book award for rising writers for her novel Eight Lives of a Century-Old Trickster.
네, 이 미리네 작가가 장편소설 이름 없는 여자의 8가지 인생으로 미국의 권위 있는 신인 작가상인 윌리엄 사로얀 국제문학상을 한국인 최초로 수상했습니다.
Yeah.
오, tell us more.
First of all, the author's name, Mireille, I pronounce it that way because I know it's a Korean
Yes.
name. I had a friend named Mireille, and we would
Yeah.
just call her Mireille. So
I think it
it's
means rainbow.
perhaps
Oh,
yeah,
no, not rainbow. Milky Way.
the Milky Way. Okay,
yeah.
but we would just pronounce it like that. But I understand if you're concerned about how I've pronounced her name. But anyways, so Mireille Lee is an up and coming author, and she won this prestigious award for up and coming authors, along with another Chinese American author. And this story, if you're interested in this novel, it's about it's based on a true story, or inspired at least,
Ooh, okay.
by her great aunt who escaped North Korea, and it revolves around the stories of her life living near the DMZ.
아하, 그렇군요. 자, 이 미리네 작가의 소설입니다. 우리말로는 이제 이름 없는 여자의 8가지 인생이고 영어로는 Eight Lives of a Century-Old Trickster인데요. 이렇게 신인 작가들에게 주는 굉장히 저명한 상이 이렇게 수여가 됐습니다. 신인이라는 표현은 우리가 뭐 new, novice, 뭐 아니면 rookie 표현할 수도 있겠지만 아까 얘기했던 up and coming writer
Yeah.
이렇게 많이 표현합니다.
Yeah, in the headline we said rising, right? It's
yeah,
someone
yeah.
that's gaining prominence and likely to advance or succeed. Someone to keep an eye on.
그렇죠. 신예 작가, 신인 일 얘기할 때 a rising actor, rising writer 이렇게 표현할 수도 있고요. up and coming도 많이 씁니다. up and coming. prestigious는요?
Yeah, there's two ways to pronounce this. You could say prestigious or you could say prestigious. And it's something that's distinguished or
Yeah.
esteemed or renowned.
그렇죠. 자, 명망이 있는이라는 뜻입니다. 그래서 우리가 보통 말하는 명문대를 영어로는 prestigious university라고 얘기를 합니다. 자, 다시 한번 읽어볼게요. Mireille Lee has become the first South Korean national to win the William Saroyan International Prize for Writing, a prestigious U.S. book award for rising writers, for her novel Eight Lives of a Century-Old Trickster. Let's move on to the final headline.
NASA has announced that the 2 astronauts currently stuck on the International Space Station will return next February on a SpaceX crewed Dragon flight.
미국 항공우주국 나사는 최근 국제우주정거장에서 발이 묶인 소속 우주비행사 2명이 내년 2월에 스페이스X의 우주선 크루 드래곤을 타고 귀환할 예정이라고 발표했습니다. 자, 그러니까 나사는 미국 정부에서 운영을 하는 것이고 스페이스X는 그 일론 머스크가
Yes.
운영하는 거잖아요. So what's going on here?
Well, what a nightmare, right? Imagine going on a trip that you thought was going to be only 8 days, packed for 8 days, but it's been extended for 8 months. And that's what happened to these 2 astronauts. They flew to space on the Boeing Starliner, which is a relatively new spacecraft, but it experienced some problems. A capsule sprang small leaks and some of its thrusters failed. So now they're stuck on the International Space Station, the ISS, and they won't be able to come back until the SpaceX crew goes next February. So their trip has been delayed, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so if you're stuck, what are we saying you are?
Yeah, if you're stuck, that means you're stranded. You're left high and dry, as they say. Stick means to attach or to fasten something.
Yeah.
That means these people are attached and fastened to the ISS.
그렇죠. stuck라는 거는 어디에 딱 붙어 있다라는 뜻도 될 수 있지만 빠져나가지 못하는 갇혀 있는 이라는 의미가 있습니다. 그래서 지금 이제 오도 가도 못하는 이 우주 비행사 2명, ISS에 발이 묶인 2명을 they are stuck at the ISS라고 표현을 할 수 있겠고요. 자, 그다음에 crewed라는 표현을 좀 보겠습니다.
Yeah, so we have the PP here. The crew is the people who have duties on an aircraft, either an airplane or a spacecraft. And to crew something as a verb would be to act as a member of the crew. And this space flight was crewed by these two astronauts.
아, 그렇죠. 여기서 말하는 이제 crewed라는 것은 사람을 태우고 있다라는 의미가 되겠죠. 그래서 SpaceX에서 운영하는 유인 우주선이라고 보면 될까요? It's run by people
Yeah.
is what we're talking about.
In the past, we would say manned, perhaps,
yeah.
but we want to be, gender neutral.
네, 그렇습니다. 그래서 이 우주선 이름이 영어로 Dragon이에요. 그냥 SpaceX Dragon인데 이유는 잘 모르겠지만 우리말로는 이제 크루 드래곤이라고 번역이 된 곳이 많이 있는데 사실은 이제 영어로는 제가 알기로는 그냥 이제 Dragon 인 것 같습니다. Oh, are there two different types of dragons?
Perhaps. I'm not up to date on my Elon Musk spacecraft
네.
fleet.
아하, 네. 드래곤이 이제 무인이 있고 드래곤 2가 유인용인데 그걸 이제 우리나라에서는 크루 드래곤이라고 유인 우주선이라는 거를 이제 이름 안에 강조를 한다고 합니다.
Gotcha.
네. Learned something new there myself. All right, here's the headline one more time. NASA has announced that the 2 astronauts currently stuck on the International Space Station will return next February on a SpaceX crewed Dragon flight. And that's it for the headlines.
The proportion of job positions taken by senior citizens and senior citizens who started their own businesses both reached all-time highs this year, according to data compiled by Statistics Korea.
통계청이 집계한 자료에 따르면 올해 고령층의 취업자와 창업자 비중 모두 사상 최대를 기록한 것으로 나타났습니다. All right, let's talk stats.
Yeah, we got a record high this year, not just in numbers, but also in the proportion. So when we look at the average number of people employed here, adults employed, during January through to July, it was 28.51 million. That's for everybody.
Okay.
6.39 million of them were age 60 and over. That's 22.4% of the working population.
Wow, that's a huge percentage.
It is. And also when we look at businesses, during January through to May this year, not including real estate agencies, but these 64,680 businesses, which is about 13.6% of the total, were established by those who were senior citizens, aged 60 or over. Again, this is the largest proportion ever.
Yeah.
Last year, I think the record was set at 12.2%. We're now at 13.6%.
We always talk about how Korea is an aging society.
Yes, or even a super aging society.
Yeah, but the figures really back that up.
It really does, but at the same time, it's really good to see that people are getting out there and starting businesses, and,
Yeah.
and there are jobs available, there are jobs for them.
Yeah, 60 is the new young, isn't it?
Yes, that means I'm
you can
21.
Start, yeah, because you can start a career from scratch. And a lot of people, as you said, started their own businesses, they got employed. And this is definitely something that we had anticipated, and it's happening.
Yeah. Well, as the old adage goes, age is not a number, it's a state of mind.
All right, let's look at the word proportion.
A proportion is the amount, the percentage of whatever it is, in this case, a group of people.
그렇습니다. 비율이라는 뜻인데요. proportion, percentage라고 할 수도 있을 것 같고 전체 중에서 어느 만큼의 부분을 차지하느냐, 어느 만큼의 비율을 차지하느냐를 말할 때 the proportion of something 이라고 할 수 있겠습니다. 자, 그리고 senior citizens.
This definition is going to change depending where you are in the world, I think, because we all have different ages at which we will be considered to be senior citizens. Here in Korea, we look at the age of 60. And anyone aged 60 and above is considered to be a senior citizen. In the UK, we use the term pensioner because after you retire, it used to be 65 for men and 60 for women. I don't know what it is in the UK anymore.
Right.
But then you become a pensioner because you get a pension. So we have lots of different words for people who are over the retirement age, but senior citizen is the most common, I think.
Exactly. 자, senior citizen이라는 게 고령자, 고령층이라는 뜻이에요. senior라는 말은 보통 우리가 여러 이제 계급으로 봤을 때는 좀 높은 계급을 senior라고 할 수 있고 그 아래를 이제 junior라고 말할 수 있겠죠. 선후배도 마찬가지고요.
Yeah.
만약에 사실 서양에서는 뭐 선배, 후배 이런 말을 많이 하진 않지만 존재는 해요. 그래서 this person is my senior, this person is my junior 이렇게 말할 수 있는데 자 그런 좀 그 위에 계신 분, citizen이니까 시민이죠. 이 두 단어가 합쳐지면은 고령층이라는 뜻으로 우리가 통상적으로 많이 씁니다.
But do be careful, we don't say junior citizen, only
no,
senior.
No. That's right. That is a good point. You're absolutely right about that. 자, and I do believe for the subway in Seoul and Gyeonggi, you have to be 65 and older to get the free tickets.
This is the thing. Different government agencies or different businesses may have different considerations about what age you have to be be a senior citizen.
There you go.
I guess if you're 70, you're definitely a senior citizen.
Yeah. Okay, but talking about these terms, would you say it's a little bit rude to say old person? Old man, old woman.
Absolutely.
So you shouldn't say that.
Yeah, I think we're used to, or certainly when I first came here, hearing somebody respectfully call somebody a grandmother or grandfather is very polite in
That's
Korean.
fine, yeah.
But in English, if you were to say that, or old man, old woman, it would be insulting.
아하, 오케이. 자, 같은 이제 고령층, 고령자여도 영어로 old man, old woman이라고 하면은 굉장히 이 거부감이 들 수도 있고요. 그다음에 좀 신뢰가 될 수도 있습니다. 그래서 좀 완곡한 부드러운 표현으로 senior citizen이라고 하면 좋죠.
There is one case where old man is polite and actually quite nice. And that's when you have two older men talking together and one might refer to the other, oh, old man, it's been a long time since I've seen you. How are you? In that case, it's a term of affection.
아, 그럴 수 있겠네요. 네. 그러니까 비슷한 연배인 그런 고령자끼리는 hello old man 이렇게 서로 얘기할 수도 있어요.
But we never say hello old woman.
그러네요. 네. 요 미묘한 차이인데. 네. 자, senior citizen까지 살펴봤습니다. 제가 다시 한번 읽어볼게요. The proportion of job positions taken by senior citizens and senior citizens who started their own businesses both reached all-time highs this year, according to data compiled by Statistics Korea. Now let's move on to the next headline.
Several major airlines in European countries have announced the suspension of flights to and from Israel and Lebanon following escalating hostilities between the two countries.
이스라엘과 레바논 헤스볼라의 전투가 격화하면서 유럽의 여러 주요국 항공사들이 이들 두 나라를 오가는 항공편의 운항 중단을 발표했습니다. And of course, Hezbollah being the militant terrorist group. In Lebanon, let's talk more about what the situation looks like.
Yeah, well, over the weekend, there were exchanges of fire, and not just one or two isolated incidents. We're talking about a big deal. Hezbollah was claiming it launched hundreds of missiles into Israel. Tensions have always been high between the two countries, but certainly in the past year, tensions have risen. And this means we have a number of airlines, including Air France and British Airways, announced suspensions of flights. And these are just short suspensions. I think for Air France, it was possibly until yesterday, or it could be extended.
Right.
And for British Airways, it's until Wednesday. But I think, well, quite logically, airlines don't want to risk their planes, their passengers, or their staff in case a stray missile might hit them.
Exactly. 자, 여기서 일단 첫 번째 표현은 suspension of flights입니다.
Stop.
You've suspended.
Yeah, just hang on for maybe, I don't know, 3 seconds. Okay.
Okay, well, 3 seconds is
keep
going to
going.
get the alarm to go off.
All right, keep going. All right, a suspension is a stop, but it's a temporary stop.
That's
So it's not going to be permanent. It's not going to last forever. It could be a minute, an hour, a week, a month, a year, a decade, but it will end.
Yeah.
So we use it like suspension of facilities, suspension of services, suspension of flights.
잠시 동안 정지되는 겁니다. 연기라는 뜻인데요. Suspension of flights니까 항공편이 일단은 뭐 연착이 된다든지 아니면 지연이 된다든지 이렇게 잠시 일시 중단이 된다라는 개념으로 이해하시면 되겠고 물론 여기서는 중단입니다. 언제까지
Yeah.
중단될지는 모르겠지만
Can I tell you my favorite use of the word suspension?
Yes.
Suspension of disbelief.
Ah,
When we-
please do explain.
So we use this when talking about performing arts, theatre, television, movies, where you sit down and you watch people pretend to be other people and pretend to be in different situations, and you suspend your disbelief. You agree to imagine with the actors and the movie makers or the theatre makers that what's happening is real for that 90 minutes.
Interesting. Okay. Well, of course, we have suspension there. Another term to look at is hostilities.
That's the sound I think of when I hear the word hostilities. That sense of aggression, that sense of tension and possible fighting. It may be in terms of financial, problems or issues. It could be actual boots on the ground military attacks. But if there are hostilities, then two parties are attacking each other or being aggressive to each other in some kind of way.
Exactly. hostilities라는 것은요. 교전이 될 수도 있고 전투가 될 수도 있습니다. 원래 이제 적대적인 관계를 가진 두 당사자들,
네.
파티들 간의 그런 상황을 말하죠. hostilities라는 명사가. So we're talking about Israel and Lebanon and the hostilities between the two countries here. And Hezbollah, of course, is the Lebanese political group, which has been designated by a lot of countries around the world as more than a political group.
Yes.
All right, so here's the headline again. Several major airlines in European countries have announced the suspension of flights to and from Israel and Lebanon following escalating hostilities between the two countries.
Typhoon Shanshan is expected to become a very powerful storm later this week, bringing rain and gusts of wind to Japan that could disrupt bullet train services.
태풍 산산의 위력이 이번 주 후반 매우 강력해질 것으로 예상됨에 따라 일본에서 비와 강풍 피해로 고속열차 신칸센 운행이 차질을 빚을 가능성이 제기되고 있습니다. So this typhoon is going to affect a lot of areas in Japan. Tell us
Yes.
more about this.
Japan's had a tough month in terms of typhoons. This is the sixth one to form in the area this month. They're thinking that the severe weather or the potential severe weather is going to come today as it nears land. And we're going to look at maximum gusts of up to 216 kilometers per hour. It's number 10 officially, and when we look at the Pacific and typhoon season. And so we're looking at Wednesday morning for it making landfall at maybe Honshu or Shikoku, and then we'll see what happens. It's going to move northeast, possibly reaching Hokkaido by Friday. But I think, Japanese citizens are bracing themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Korean tourists and business people in Japan will be bracing themselves as well.
Yeah, embracing yourself is a very useful expression to use when something bad is about to happen.
Yeah, to
You
prepare yourself.
But it's not like preparing for an exam or preparing for guests to come over for
No.
dinner. It's preparing for something bad.
Yes. So, for example, if you're flying in a plane, they're going to make an emergency land, and they say brace yourselves.
Exactly. All right, so public transportation, is expected to be disrupted as well. One of the reasons is because of the extremely strong gusts of wind.
Yeah, I think gusts sounds much weaker than they actually are. Because a gust of wind is a very strong, sudden burst of wind or
Yeah.
blow of wind. So if your umbrella suddenly turns inside out, it's probably the fault of a gust of wind.
Exactly. GUST, gust라는 거는요. 세찬 바람을 말합니다. 그래서 gusts of wind 이렇게 복수로 썼을 때 강풍이라는 의미로 보시면 되겠고요. and this is going to disrupt transport.
Welcome to Power English. My name's Cameron, and joining me today is Kristen. What are we going to talk about?
What are you doing? Why are you disrupting the show?
Oh, sorry. It's just an example.
Okay.
Yeah. To disrupt something means to interrupt it and cause problems, to stop it from functioning properly.
Well, talking about Kristen and Cameron, I want to say congratulations on the start of a new season with evening special as well.
Yes, I mean,
So, yeah.
my goodness, we're the morning and they're the evening. We're the
indeed.
sun and they're the moon.
자, disrupt라는 거는 방해하다라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. 자, 그럼 다시 읽어볼게요. Typhoon Shanshan is expected to become a very powerful storm later this week, bringing rain and gusts of wind to Japan that could disrupt bullet train services. Here's our next headline.
The US state of California has experienced rare snowfall and record low temperatures in August, leaving the Sierra Nevada region in a winter-like state.
미국 캘리포니아주에서 8월 여름의 기록적인 저온 현상과 함께 이례적으로 눈이 내리는 일이 발생해 시에라 네바다 산맥 지역이 겨울처럼 변했습니다. What's happening in California?
It is an anomaly, which means it shouldn't be happening. And
Sure.
it doesn't happen often. It's something that just suddenly appears and everyone's
Yeah.
going, what is going on? So they've described it as a winter-like cold front in an area that is normally lovely and warm in the summer.
Just all year round, actually.
Yeah, and so rain and even snow in some areas of the Sierra Nevada mountains and Lake Tahoe region. So they hit record-breaking low temperatures. 13 degrees was hit, and the record had previously been 14 degrees that was set in 1920. So we'll see what happens, but certainly they're issuing warnings for potential hard freezes in days to come. That said, California had its hottest July on record. So the US weather, or at least the West Coast weather, seems to be very much topsy-turvy.
It's reminding me of a Katy Perry song. You're hot and you're cold.
Yes.
Well, California seems to be hot and then very cold.
Well, certainly certain areas. So hopefully things will even out and they can have a less disruptive autumn.
네. 자, anomaly라는 단어를 아까 언급해 주셨는데요. A-N-O-M-A-L-Y. 이례적인 현상이라는 뜻입니다. 그래서 저온 현상도 이례적이지만 거기다가 일부 지역에는 눈까지 왔다라는 얘기. 굉장히 이례적이죠. 캘리포니아 하면은 우리가 보통 이제 따뜻한 날씨 많이 연상할 뿐만 아니라 지금 여름이잖아요. 자, 근데 이제 이 표현 좀 보도록 하겠습니다. To experience something.
Means you go through it. It means you have been there. You have done that. You have endured. You have survived. You have lived through whatever that might be.
Exactly. 무언가를 겪다, 경험하다. Experience something이라고 하고요. 그다음에 겨울 같은 모습이 펼쳐졌는데 it's winter-like.
Yeah, meaning it is similar to winter. Snow in summer, well, that's similar to winter. It's winter-like.
winter-like. winter-like. 이렇게 표현을 하면은 겨울 같다라는 뜻입니다. 자, 다시 제가 읽어볼게요. The US state of California has experienced rare snowfall and record low temperatures in August, leaving the Sierra Nevada region in a winter-like state. Let's move on to the final headline.
A 102-year-old military veteran has become Britain's oldest skydiver after she jumped out of a plane to mark her birthday and raise money for charity.
참전 용사 출신인 영국의 102세 할머니가 생일을 기념하고 자선 기금도 마련하기 위해 스카이다이빙을 시도해 영국 최고령 다이버 기록을 세웠습니다. Now, just to explain to our listeners who are not familiar with this sort of money-raising charity event, this happens quite a lot in Western countries, in Europe, in America, in Canada. People will do something to raise money. Often it's running. In this case, skydiving.
It can be skydiving. It can be a marathon. It can be a bake sale.
Sure,
it can be
sure.
selling goods to raise money for charity. But certainly a skydive, especially among the older generation, seems to be a way of getting attention and raising a lot of money. And congratulations to her. Minette Bailey is her name. She served in the Second World War. She was one of the Wrens, the Women's Royal Naval Service. she was married to a paratrooper. So her
Oh,
husband
of course.
was familiar with skydiving.
Yeah.
She'd never done it before. She's raised more than £10,000. She's aiming for £30,000. And it's all going to go to the East Anglian Air Ambulance Service, as well as the Motor Neuron Disease Association and their local village club.
네, 서양에서는 이렇게 자선 기금을 모으기 위해서 달리기를 한다든지 걷기를 한다든지 아니면은 뭐 아까 베이킹 얘기도 하셨는데요. 그런 것들을 흔히 많이들 합니다. 어릴
네.
때부터 학교에서 하도록 장려를 해요.
Yeah, we have like, for example, you would pay £1 to not wear your uniform on non-uniform
Okay,
day,
yep.
and then all that money would go to a charity or
그렇죠.
something the school was raising money for.
네, 그래서 이런 모금 행사 관련된 뉴스가 종종 들리는 것도 다 그런 이제 문화 때문인데, 팬데믹 기간 동안에는 영국에서 한 war veteran 할아버지가 그 뒷뜰에서 이렇게 몇 바퀴 계속
네.
돌고, 내가 뭐 10바퀴 돌 때마다 아니면은 뭐 50바퀴 돌 때마다 얼마씩, 그, 기금을 마련할 수 있도록 여러분이 좀 도와주세요 해가지고 굉장히 큰 돈을 모아서
네.
그걸 전부 다 기부를 했죠. 그래서 그런 일들이 서양에 굉장히 많습니다. 이번에 이제 102세 할머니가 스카이다이빙을 해서 역시 돈을 많이 모았고 기부를 한 그런 일이 되겠습니다. 자, 첫 번째 표현 볼게요. She did this to mark her 102nd birthday.
Yes, to mark something, there are two meanings here. It's either going to be to celebrate or to commemorate. It's either going to be a happy occasion or a sad or historic occasion. So, for example, we commemorate the liberation of Korea on the 15th of August. We can celebrate it as well, but we also commemorate the anniversary of the death of a loved one. But here, it's a positive one. If we mark our birthday, we're celebrating our birthday
Yeah.
in some way.
네. 어떤 특정한 날짜를 기념한다라는 뜻인데 to mark an anniversary, to mark a birthday, to mark, as you said, something sad like the passing away of someone.
Yeah.
뭐 여러 가지 뒤에 단어들이 나올 수 있는데 mark 하고 나서 얘기를 하면 그런 날짜를 기념한다는 뜻이 되겠습니다.
Yeah, your friend might say, I'm having a dinner party next week. Mark your calendar.
Oh, right, of course, which means 표시해라. To mark it literally and write down on your calendar, I'm having dinner next week with
Yeah,
Paul.
that's where it comes from, to mark your birthday. And in this case, she marked it not with a pen, but with a parachute.
아, 그러네요. 원래는 이제 달력에다가 표시한다라는 데에서 마킹한다고 하잖아요. 네, 거기서 나온 단어입니다. 자, raising money for charity 볼까요?
Yeah, we talked about that inside this article, is that if we raise money for charity, we get money somehow that will then go to a charity. And as you mentioned, it could be running like a marathon or parachuting. As I said, it could be a bake sale or a non-uniform day. Whatever it is, you are getting money from other people to give to some cause, to some organization. The expression in the UK that's very popular in schools is sponsored walk. And that's if someone sponsors you, they will give you money to do something, and all that money will go to charity.
맞아요. 스폰서드 워크라고 하기도 하는데 그때는 이제 걷기를 통해서 이런 모금 활동을 하는 거고요. 미국에서는 제가 이제 미드 같은 데 보니까 어린 아이들이 집 앞에서 오렌지 주스 같은 거 집에서 가져와가지고 이제 따라서 한 컵씩 나눠준 게 아니라
Sue,
네.
traditionally not orange juice,
예, 뭐.
lemonade.
아, 레모네이드구나, 그게. 네. 그래서 음료를 한 잔씩 이렇게 판매를 하는데, 이제 이 레모네이드 자체는 뭐 대단한 게 아니지만, 이렇게 한 컵 한 컵 판매를 해가지고 모으는 돈을 나중에 전부 다 기부하는 거예요.
네.
그래서 처음부터 그 사인을 써요. 제가 지금, I'm trying to raise money for charity. 이런
Yeah.
식으로. 네.
And also famously in America, the Girl Scouts sell cookies.
아, 맞아요. 쿠키 판매도 마찬가지네요. 그렇게 해가지고 모금 활동을 많이 합니다. 그게 raising money for charity. 돈을 모으는 것인데 자선을 목적으로 돈을 모으는 걸 말합니다. 자, 다시 한번 읽어볼게요. A 102-year-old military veteran has become Britain's oldest skydiver after she jumped out of a plane to mark her birthday and raise money for charity. Well, that's it for today's headlines.
The cabinet has approved next year's budget at around 677 trillion won, marking an increase of 3.2% from this year's figures, with research and development seeing a notable increase of 11.8%.
정부가 국무회의를 통해 내년도 예산안을 올해보다 3.2% 늘어난 약 677조 원으로 확정한 가운데 이 중 연구개발 분야 예산은 11.8%라는 눈에 띈 증가폭을 보였습니다. Alright, so let's talk about the budget for 2025.
Right. So the government has approved the budget during a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, and they will submit it to the National Assembly in early September. The budget has increased more sharply this year than last year when it grew 2.8%. The figures still remain below 4% for the second consecutive year. So the government allocated 249 trillion won for health, welfare, and employment programs, representing a 4.8% increase over this year. A further 98.5 trillion won has been earmarked for education, 3.5% more than this year. The budget for research and development, as we saw earlier, saw a drastic cut this year, increased 11.8% year over year to 29.7 trillion won. And they say that it is set to be finalized in December after deliberations and adjustments in parliamentary committees.
네, 연구개발 분야를 우리가 흔히 R&D라고 하죠. Research and Development의 약자인데요. 이 연구개발 분야의 예산이 2024년도 예산은 전해에 비해서 많이 줄어들었었는데 2025년 예산은 다시 기존의 수준으로 올랐습니다. 상당히 많이. 자, 그러면 표현을 좀 볼게요. Something has been approved or someone has approved something. What does that mean?
Right. So if you approve something, it means to officially agree to or accept as satisfactory.
And the spelling would be?
APPROVE. Approve.
승인하다라는 뜻입니다. Approve. The cabinet has approved next year's budget. 내년 예산안을 승인했다라는 뜻이 되겠고요. 국무회의에서 그렇게 승인이 됐다는 뜻인데 그 다음에 it's a notable increase if we look at R&D.
Right. If something is noticeable, we say it's notable. So something that is worthy of attention or notice, or if something is remarkable, we can say it is notable.
Notable이라는 거는요. 주목할 만하다라는 뜻인데요. 영어로 take note 라고 하면은 이것도 역시 주목해라. 주목할 만하다라는 뜻이지만 이게 이제 노트 우리가 적다 이런 의미도 있어요.
Yeah.
근데 우리가 사실은 이제 무언가 듣다가 이거 너무 중요한 것 같아 하면서 필기를 할 때가 있죠. 그만큼 주목할 만한 중요한 일이어서 노트라는 단어가 들어가가지고
Yeah.
it's notable 이렇게 표현을 합니다.
Right. So something that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. 자, 그러면은 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. The cabinet has approved next year's budget at around 677 trillion won, marking an increase of 3.2% from this year's figures, with research and development seeing a notable increase of 11.8%. It should be an increase, by the way. And moving on, and this is our next headline.
Koreans' overseas card spending remained unchanged in the second quarter from 3 months earlier as falling demand for overseas travel offset the growth in overseas direct purchases, according to the central bank.
한국은행은 올해 2분기 국내 거주자의 카드 해외 사용 금액이 3개월 전과 비교해 변동이 없었으며 이는 줄어든 해외여행 수요가 늘어난 해외 직접 구매 이용액을 상쇄한 데 따른 결과라고 밝혔습니다. So overall, in the second quarter, the spending overseas was the same
Was similar, yeah.
as in the first quarter.
Yeah.
However, if we look at the specifics, some things went up, some things went down. Tell us
Right.
more.
So this is according to data from the Bank of Korea, and it said that the amount of money that was spent overseas by South Koreans using their credit cards, this includes credit and debit cards. It came to 5.18 billion US dollars during the April and June period, and that amount was unchanged from the amount that was logged during the first quarter of this year. So compared with a year earlier, however, overseas card spending jumped 11.6% from 4.65 billion US dollars that was logged the previous year.
Right.
So the number of outbound travelers fell 11.1% on quarter to 6.59 million in the second quarter, while overseas direct purchases using credit cards advanced 6.2% to 1.47 billion. So there was more use of direct purchases using credit cards, while the number of travelers traveling abroad fell. So it kind of the numbers balanced each other out.
Exactly. Karen, do you often buy things from overseas to use the 직구, as they say?
Not so much these days.
okay.
Yeah, but I did hear that a lot of people have been doing that these days. Yeah.
exactly. 자, 여기서 말하는 해외 직접 구매라는 게 이제 흔히 우리가 말하는 온라인으로 하는 직구를 말합니다. 그러니까 이제 국내 거주자의 카드 해외 사용 금액이 올해 2분기가 1분기 때랑 거의 비슷한 수준으로 유지가 됐는데요. 근데 이거를 좀 면밀히 살펴보게 되면은 해외여행은 덜 했어요. 2분기 때. 그럼에도 불구하고 카드 해외 사용 금액이 어떻게 비슷하냐? 왜냐하면 이 직구를 2분기 때는 1분기 때보다 훨씬 많이 했답니다. 자, 이렇게 뭔가 하나 떨어졌는데 또 하나는 이제 올라가가지고 서로 이게 상쇄한다라고 할 때
Yep.
offsetting이라고 하죠.
Yeah. So some similar expressions that you can use. I think I mentioned this before. It balances out.
Yep.
Or you can also say something counterbalances each other. So that means to offset. It means to balance one influence against an opposing influence so that there is no great difference as a result.
Yes. offset 한 단어입니다. OFFSET. 그래서 이제 상쇄한다라는 뜻인데 A offset B 이런 식으로 표현을 할 수 있고요. 여기서는 지금 이제 해외 여행 수요는 줄어들었는데 근데 이제 온라인 해외 직구 이용액은 늘어났기 때문에 이게 서로 이제 상쇄의 역할을 하면서 전반적인 카드 해외 사용 금액이 국내 거주자의 경우 비슷했다.
Yep.
네, 이런 얘기예요. 그래서 이 표현도 좀 볼게요. 별로 뭐 변하지 않았다.
Yeah,
Remained unchanged.
Yeah.
Unchanged,
so
sorry.
as these two amounts canceled each other out
Yeah.
or offset each other, it remained unchanged. So it means that it remained the same or it stayed the same.
Exactly. 자, remain unchanged. 이게 불변인 채로 있다라는 뜻이죠. 그래서 크게 변하지 않았다라는 뜻으로 보시면 되겠습니다. Here's the headline again. Koreans' overseas card spending remained unchanged in the second quarter from 3 months earlier, as falling demand for overseas travel offset the growth in overseas direct purchases, according to the central bank.
Oil prices have settled 3% higher as production cuts in Libya added to supply concerns stemming from reports of escalating conflict in the Middle East.
중동 지역 분쟁이 격화되고 있다는 보도로 원유 공급 차질 우려가 제기된 가운데 리비아의 생산 중단 결정까지 겹치면서 국제유가가 3% 급등했습니다. Right, so what's going on?
Right, so oil prices have settled 3% higher on Monday as production cuts in Libya added to supply concerns stemming from reports of escalating conflict in the Middle East. Libya's eastern-based government announced the closure of all oil fields on Monday, halting production and exports. National Oil Corporation, which controls the country's oil resources, have provided no confirmation. However, the National Oil Corporation, which is a subsidiary of Waha Oil Company, said that it planned to gradually reduce output and warned of a complete halt to Libya's production, citing unspecified protests and pressures. Another NOC subsidiary said that it will start a partial reduction in production as well. Libya's oil production was about 1.18 million barrels per day in July. This is according to OPEC. They've cited secondary sources, and they say that, or experts say that the biggest risk for the oil market is probably a further drop in Libya oil production due to political tensions in the country, with the risk that production could fall from current levels of 1 million barrels per day to zero.
The same thing with oil prices and also stock prices.
Yeah.
Is that it sort of all moves on the basis of projections.
Yeah.
It can fluctuate and go up and down depending on whether you think something's going to happen.
Right.
And so it's all looking into the future, really, isn't
Right,
it?
right.
And right now, it's not looking that great,
Yeah.
especially in the Middle East.
They're all
as you said.
projection-based.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So let's have a look at these concerns that are stemming from something.
Right. So if something stems from something, it means that it occurs or develops as a consequence of something, or have or traces an origin of something.
stem from A라고 하면은요, A에서 생겨나다라는 뜻입니다. Supply concerns, 이 공급에 대한 우려가 있는데요. Stemming from reports of blah blah blah라고 했습니다. 이러이러한 보도에서 생겨나는 공급에 대한 우려라고 해석을 할 수 있을 것 같고요. 그 여러 가지 보도되고 있는 내용이 뭐냐면은 이제 중동 지역에 계속 긴장이 고조가 되고 있고 확전의 우려가 있다. 그런 소식들이에요.
Yeah.
Escalating conflict 보겠습니다.
Right. So if something escalates, it means to increase in extent. It could be in volume, number, amount, intensity, or scope. If something goes up, that means it escalates.
고조되거나 격화될 때요. 뭔가가 증가하거나 확대될 때 역시 다 커지는 거죠. 방향으로 보자면 위로 올라가는 것을 escalating 한다라고 말하는데 특히 이런 긴장감이라든지 갈등이라든지 이런 것들이 점점 고조될 때, 격화될 때 많이 쓰는 표현입니다. 자, 여기서는 escalating conflict in the Middle East라고 했습니다. 중동 지역에서 이 지금 안 그래도 여러 가지 분쟁과 그다음에 갈등이 있는데 그게 격화되고 있는 모습이에요. 그래서 확전 우려라고 좀 의역을 할 수 있을 것 같습니다. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. Oil prices have settled 3% higher as production cuts in Libya added to supply concerns stemming from reports of escalating conflict in the Middle East. Let's move on to the next headline.
A right to disconnect rule has come into effect in Australia, allowing employees to ignore communications after hours if they choose to, without fear of being punished by their bosses.
근로자들이 고용주로부터 불이익을 받을 염려 없이 퇴근 후 연락을 거부할 수 있는 일명 연결되지 않을 권리 보장법이 호주에서 시행에 들어갔습니다. Now, I remember this story a few months ago and they were pushing for it. Now it's actually come into effect.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is kind of surprising because, from someone who's lived in Australia for just a couple of years, they're the most laid back people that I know. They get off work pretty early too. So I'm surprised that employers would contact their employees after hours demanding that they, do stuff after hours. But in any case, so this law that has come into effect, it doesn't ban employers from contacting workers after hours. Instead, it gives the staff the right not to reply until or unless their refusal is deemed unreasonable. So they say that more than 20 countries, mainly in Europe and Latin America, have similar rules. I'm not sure if Korea is trying to implement a similar rule because I feel like, I don't know, our something talk. We have employers contacting employees through our messenger services all the time or through emails all the time. So they say that failure to comply with this rule can result in fines of up to 19,000 Australian dollars, which is more than 17 million Korean won for an employee,
Right.
or up to 94,000 Australian dollars or 85 million won for a company. And they say organizations representing workers have, of course, welcomed the move, but there are some mixed reactions to this new law from employees because they're saying that it might not be that effective because they're so tied to their mobile devices anyways. So they're gonna see it, and they spend so much time connected to their phones and their emails all day. So it's hard to switch off as it is.
자, 호주에서 직장인들이요. 근무 시간 외에 뭐 상사라든지 뭐 이런저런 업무적으로 연락을 받지 않을 권리가 이제 보장이 되는 겁니다. 그런데 벌금이 어마어마하네요. 조금 전에 얘기를 해주셨는데,
It's a lot.
네, 이제 이런 법이 지금 시행이 되고 있어요. 근데 만약에 어길 경우에 연락을 한 이제 직원의 경우에는 우리 돈으로 한 1,700만 원까지 벌금을 내야 되고, 기업의 경우는 최대 한 8,400만 원에 해당되는 그런 벌금이 또 부과가 될 수 있다고 합니다. 그렇게 하려면은 이제 물론 이렇게 내가 연락을 받았습니다라고 이제 일단 직원이 고발을 해야 되겠죠. 네, 그런 일이 있지만 어쨌든 이제 법으로 보장이 된다는 거. 근무 시간 외에는 회사로부터 뭐 상사로부터 연락을 받지 않을 권리가 있다라는 내용입니다.
I think it's good that the legislation is there. So it'll, at least employers can think once again, before maybe sending that email or sending that message after hours.
맞아요.
Yeah.
But freelancers like us,
It doesn't really,
and
we don't have working hours.
we are contacted all day by many different people.
Yeah, because we don't
about
have
work.
regular working hours.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different for us.
But if you have regular working hours, and if you are promised, a certain amount of pay for over, the hours that you work overtime,
Yeah.
then I think definitely there should be some sort of legislation.
그래요. 자, 첫 번째 표현 보도록 하겠습니다. 호주에서 이 법이 지금 시행에 들어갔어요. 영어로는 it has come into effect.
Right. So come into effect. If something takes effect or comes into effect, it means it officially begins to apply or is valid from that time. And we usually use this expression when we're talking about rules or laws or some sort of policy. When we're talking about the FTA negotiations, when it finally, when everything was signed, there's a certain date when it takes effect. That means it goes, that's when it begins, officially begins.
Exactly. So this is a legal term. And you just mentioned taking effect. That's the same thing. Come into effect. 발효되다, 시행되다 라는 뜻입니다. And if companies ignore it, then they could be charged a lot of money.
Right. So if you are ignoring something, that means you are refusing to take notice of something, usually intentionally.
Of course, employees now have the right to ignore calls or texts, but if people ignore the law, then they could be charged.
Yeah.
뭐 양측에서 다 이제 ignore라는 표현을 써서 직원들은 연락을 무시할 권리가 생겼고 그 다음에 이 법을 만약에 회사에서 무시하면은 벌금이 부과가 된다 이렇게 표현도 할 수 있을 것 같은데 그 이제 무시한다라는 거 여기서 이제 ignore의 무시는요 외면한다, 모른 채 한다 이런 의미로 보시면 되겠습니다.
Yeah.
다시 한번 읽어볼게요. A right to disconnect rule has come into effect in Australia, allowing employees to ignore communications after hours if they choose to, without fear of being punished by their bosses. And let's move on to our final headline.
An uptick in sausage demand in the U.S. can offer the latest sign of consumers tightening their belts as they continue grappling with high prices, according to a report by the Dallas Federal Reserve.
미국에서 소시지 수요가 늘어나는 것이 계속되는 고물가 기조 속에 소비자들이 허리띠를 졸라매고 있다는 최근 신호로 해석될 수 있다라는 댈러스 연방준비은행의 발표가 있었습니다. So first of all, what we know from this is that more people are buying sausages. The second thing we can tell from this is experts are going, oh, that means people are really feeling the pinch right now,
Yeah.
and they they are suffering from inflation.
Yeah,
So tell us more about that.
Well, inflationary pressure, it's been going on for quite some time now. So people are, as we mentioned, tightening their belts, which means they're trying to save money, they're trying to spend less, trying to be frugal. So one way they're doing that is instead of buying just regular meat, like pork or chicken, they're spending less on that by buying sausages, which is a little bit cheaper than regular meat. So they're saying that there was modest growth in the dinner sausage category for one producer. This is according to the Dallas Federal Reserve's Texas Manufacturing Outlook survey. And they say that this category, the dinner sausage category, it tends to grow when the economy weakens. So it's a sign. They're looking at it as a sign that the economy is not doing so well. And they're saying that it's because sausage is a good protein substitute for higher priced proteins like, beef or pork, and can stretch consumers' food budgets. So if you have limited amount of money that you can spend, you instead of buying something that's more expensive, you can buy something that's cheaper, and that will make your money last a little bit longer. And they say the shift to sausage also highlights an action experts call the trade down. So carefree consumers may select protein that is typically more expensive, such as steak or chicken. On the other hand, price-conscious consumers will hunt for sausage or other lower-cost alternatives.
자, 미국에서 일단 지금 소시지 수요가 많이 늘었고요. 그로 인해서 전문가들이 미루어 짐작할 수 있는 것은 물가가 많이 올라서 사람들이 힘들구나 이거랍니다. 쉽게 말하면 그건데 소고기, 돼지고기, 닭고기 대신에 좀 저렴한 소시지를 산다라고 보고 있기 때문입니다. 자, 그러면 이렇게 소시지 많이 사는 것을 there's an uptick in sausage demand라고 했는데요. What's an uptick?
Uptick is the increase in the number or amount of something. So when something goes up, when something increases, we can say there's an uptick in something.
그렇죠. 뭔가 약간 증가할 때 there's an uptick in something이라고 하고요. 자, 허리띠 졸라매다. 똑같은 표현이 있습니다. 영어에도. Tighten one's belt.
Yeah, tighten one's belt. So it means to cut your spending, to live more frugally, to spend less money than you did before because you have less money to spend.
Exactly. Here's the headline again. An uptick in sausage demand in the US can offer the latest sign of consumers tightening their belts as they continue grappling with high prices, according to a report by the Dallas Federal Reserve.
The number of newborns in Korea rose for the first time in more than 8 years in the second quarter, while the total fertility rate stood at 0.71, unchanged from a year earlier.
올해 국내 2분기 출생아 수가 8년여 만에 반등한 반면 합계 출산율은 작년과 같은 수준인 0.71명에 머물렀습니다. We both made it.
We made it.
Okay.
We're back on track.
All right, let's talk about newborns.
Let's do it. So in the second quarter of this year, there were a total of 56,834 little babies born in Korea.
Okay.
Now that is an increase of 1.2% compared to the second quarter of last year. And this is according to data from Statistics Korea. It's also the first time since the fourth quarter of 2015 that we saw an increase. Back then, the increase was only 0.6%.
Right.
So double that.
That's where we get the 8 years in the headline.
That's right.
네, 2015년 4분기 이후 처음으로 이게 분기별 출생아 수가 이렇게 반등한 모습이라고 합니다. 그래서 good news처럼 보이기는 해요. But overall, it looks like the total fertility rate is the same.
It's unchanged rate.
Okay.
And when we talk about, we might as well discuss the total fertility rate now. So
Yeah.
this is the average number of expected births for a woman in her lifetime. And now they say that the figure is actually far below the 2.1 births per woman that's needed to maintain a stable population without immigration.
그렇죠. 사실은 이제 우리가 지금 말하는 total fertility rate라는 게 합계 출산율인데요. 여성 한 명이 가임 기간에 낳을 것으로 예상되는 평균 자녀 수입니다. 이게 지금 0.71이라고 했죠. 한 명이 채 안 된다라는 얘기인데 원래는 그 한 나라에 특히 우리나라 같은 경우에는 그 인구가 그 어느 정도 계속 유지가 되려면은 2.1 정도의 수치가 나와야 된다고 합니다. 그런데 뭐 지금 이거를 믿돈 지는 한참 됐죠. 지금 0.71, 0.71을 기록하고 있습니다.
There was another interesting stat that came out of this. It's not quite totally related to the headline, but I thought it was interesting.
Okay.
The number of couples getting married in the second quarter increased 17% compared to the second quarter of last year, and it's the second fastest growth rate ever.
Okay.
So we could think it's possible that if marriages are increasing, possibly this will help the birth rate. Maybe this will lead to more births down the line.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And of course, it's all related,
Yeah.
as we can imagine. 결혼한 사람들의 숫자도 이번 2분기 때 좀 늘었다고 합니다. 자,
Nearly
기대를...
56,000 weddings.
Oh, really?
In
the second quarter?
In the second quarter, yeah.
Okay, so maybe next year we'll see the birth rate go up a little
Right,
bit.
right. These newlyweds got to get busy.
자, 조금 전에 설명드렸는데요. Total fertility rate라는 표현 보겠습니다.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the average number of births expected for a woman in her lifetime.
Yeah, the difficult word here I think is fertility, which means having babies.
Yes.
여기서 이제 합계 출산율에서 그 출산에 해당되는 게 fertility이고요. 그다음에 unchanged.
Means something stays the same. It didn't change. I think I wasn't here for this story last week, but the Korean Central Bank decided to leave interest rates unchanged. They
Yep.
didn't change them.
아, 그렇죠. 변동이 없다, 변함이 없다. Leave something unchanged.
Or keep something unchanged.
There you go. 네, 동사는 다 바꿀 수 있습니다. Something is unchanged. Here's the headline again. The number of newborns in Korea rose for the first time in more than 8 years in the second quarter, while the total fertility rate stood at 0.71, unchanged from a year earlier. Let's move on to the second headline.
The Paris 2024 Summer Paralympic Games have kicked off for a 12-day run in the French capital.
2024 파리 패럴림픽이 프랑스 파리에서 개막해 12일간의 일정에 돌입했습니다. Okay, so the Paralympics are underway.
That's right. So roughly 4,400 para-athletes from over 180 countries will compete. There are 549 medal events across 22 sports, both individual and team. South Korea, they are sending 83 athletes who will compete in 17 events, including goalball, badminton, swimming, judo, taekwondo, and wheelchair fencing. Wow. Now, the Korea Paralympic Committee earlier, they'd unveiled that the goal for Team Korea is to win 5 gold medals and to place 20th overall in the medal tally.
Right. So this began, was it yesterday?
Wednesday, I believe. Yes.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So
and I
around-
think because of that, on one of the portal sites, specifically Google, they have those little images.
Yep.
They're called doodles.
Okay.
And yesterday, it's not there now, but they had a special sort of cartoonish image showing little birds flying, some of them in wheelchairs. And,
Okay.
so it was commemorating
Sure.
the start of the Paralympics.
Sure.
And a lot of our staff members found it very, very cute. Okay, let's talk about this expression here, to kick off.
Think about a football game to get something started.
Yeah.
You kick something off.
아, 그렇죠. 뭔가를 시작할 때.
I'm sure you're very
kick off.
excited. Next week, the NFL season kicks off.
Okay, I'm so excited.
Are you? Yeah. American football. American football
Yeah.
kicks off next week. The English Premier League kicked off 10 days ago.
Okay, I thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Just so
aware
you
of
know.
that. Yeah, but I do know that next week the South Korean team will be playing against Palestine
Right.
in the qualifiers for
That's
the World
right.
Cup. I am excited about that one.
Okay.
But now I know that there's the NFL and the Premier League too.
The Premier League's already kicked off, and the
Okay,
NFL
okay.
will soon.
아, 자, 뭔가 시작할 때 kick off 한다라고 하죠. 우리도 이제 방송을 시작할 때 we've kicked off the show 이렇게 표현할 수도 있습니다. 자, 그다음에는 명사 run입니다.
In this case, it means a period of time that something happens. A lot of times you'll talk about, say, like a musical on Broadway, how long the run is, how long they play it for. You can also talk about being in a certain job,
Yeah.
how long your run is in a certain position. Like
right,
your
right.
run's been
20 years.
Right. Or even just like as the
Yeah.
host of Morning Special,
Oh.
how long's it been so far?
6.
A 6-year run.
Just
So you
over
could-
6 years,
You could
yeah.
explain it like that too.
아, 그렇군요. 근데 명사기 때문에 연속으로 무언가를 했다라는 의미를 담는 단어입니다. 자, 여기서 말하는 12-day run이라는 거는 12일간 이어지는 행사라고 볼 수도 있을 것 같고요. 조금 전에 얘기한 거는 근무를 얼마나 오래 했느냐, 어떤 일을 얼마나 했느냐 이런 게 되겠습니다.
Run actually has a lot of meanings, a
It
lot of
does.
usages.
Yeah, you've also had a pretty long run here on Morning Special too, haven't
Yeah,
you?
luckily.
So 3 years.
It's about 4
years.
now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
There you go. I lose count.
Yeah, so do I. Time flies when you're having fun, Sue.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. 자, 이렇게 noun form의 run을 쓸 수 있습니다. Let me read this again. The Paris 2024 Summer Paralympic Games have kicked off for a 12-day run in the French capital.
Australia is set to introduce a cap on the number of new international students it accepts as it tries to reduce overall migration to pre-pandemic levels.
호주 정부가 이민자 규모를 코로나19 대유행 이전 수준으로 줄이기 위해 신규 유학생 수 상한제를 도입할 예정입니다. Okay, so tell us about this. What's going on here with the international students?
Well, Australia has one of the biggest international student markets in the world. The number of new enrollments now will be, in 2025, will be limited to 270,000. Now, so each higher education institution will be given an individual restriction, the government announced. And obviously, when things like this happen, there's some people are happy and some people aren't.
Right.
Some of Australia's most prestigious universities, they've called it economic vandalism in the past because they believe that it's fine. They need it. It's very important for them. Now, the big issue apparently is how it's not really equal. Some schools are getting more than others.
Yep.
Now, the government had, and there's different types of different type of post-secondary education. Some of the vocational training where you're training for a job or you're learning skills. Now, the government said that some of these providers, they've accused some providers of unethical behavior. So accepting students who don't have the sufficient language skills to succeed or offering a poor standard of education or training. Also enrolling people who intend to work instead of study. They say they're there to study, but they're really there
Okay.
to work. So they'd previously announced tougher minimum English language requirements for international students. They also started scrutinizing people who apply for a second study visa. They've also started punishing what they call dodgy providers. So this is kind of a big issue. And then as we mentioned in the headline, they're also using this to try and reduce overall migration levels. The education minister said the restrictions will help Australia address these record migration levels, which have put pressure on existing housing and infrastructure. And this is an issue that we're seeing in a lot of Western countries right now. Is that it's happening in Canada, it's happening in the UK, happening in the States, where people who live there, citizens, are saying, we can't afford anything anywhere. Housing prices are crazy. And there's so many immigrants coming in.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but in 2024, there was about 717,000 international students. And so they're cutting that drastically. And they're saying we can only accept 270,000 next year, which is way down from the 700 plus thousand that they had this year.
It's a way down, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I too was an international student to Australia in
Australia, yeah.
2001, although it was just for 1 year in my case. And I went to ANU, which is Australian National University. There were tons and tons of international students. So I know the sort of atmosphere, the very global atmosphere they have there. I would imagine it's similar in Canada. You have loads of international students there
I think
too.
it really just depends on which school. I think.
Yeah, okay.
But maybe I haven't really looked into that. That's not something I'm
Yeah.
too familiar with.
Okay. So overall, there's going to be a cap on the number of international students.
Right, when you hear cap, it's a limit. Some sports leagues in North America, hockey, basketball, American football, have a salary cap. So there's a limit on how much teams are allowed to spend on players.
자, 명사 cap라는 거는요. 한도라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. 그래서 몇 명까지 받아들일 것인지를 얘기하고 있는데요. 올해 같은 경우에는 호주 유학생이 대략적으로 한 70만 명 이상이었다고 하는데 내년부터는 27만 명으로 제한한다고 합니다. That's overall. What's overall?
Total.
Total.
Yeah, you look at something. You look at the whole picture. You look at everything.
전반적인 무언가라는 뜻인데요. Overall migration 그러면은 전반적인 이민자 규모를 좀 줄이기 위해서 일단은 유학생 수를 제한하겠다 이 뜻이네요. 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Australia is set to introduce a cap on the number of new international students it accepts as it tries to reduce overall migration to pre-pandemic levels. And here's our next headline.
A recent survey has found that a quarter of people aged 18 to 34 in the UK never answer the phone, with respondents saying they ignore the ringing, respond via text, or search the number online if they don't recognize it.
영국의 18세에서 34세 성인을 대상으로 한 최근 설문조사에서 응답자의 4분의 1이 전화를 아예 받지 않는 것으로 나타났습니다. 이들은 전화벨이 울리면 무시하거나 문자로 응답하고 만약 알지 못하는 번호라면 온라인으로 번호를 검색한다고 대답했습니다. So do they have a phobia against phone calls?
That's what it sounds like, right? And it's really funny because I was talking to someone last week, a Korean, I think she's in her 20s, definitely in her 20s, and she was telling me that she has a
same thing,
phobia when
yeah.
she sees the phone ring. She doesn't like it, doesn't want to answer the phone. And I was like, really? Why? Like, I was kind of confused by it because, you know, I grew up talking on the phone all the time to friends and things like that. So
Yeah.
it seemed a bit weird, but it kind of makes sense if you grew up, and that's what a lot of the article about this talked about is, you know, a few generations of people, they grew up never talking on the phone. Maybe they would talk on a landline to their grandparents or something like that,
okay.
but everything was usually through text message. And this is a UK survey. This was taken in the UK. So they surveyed 2,000 people, and they found that nearly 70% of 18 to 34-year-olds, they prefer text to phone call, 70%.
Wow.
And I remember I went to the UK. I hadn't been for a long time, and I went in 2007, and everybody was texting. And texting wasn't super popular in Canada at that time. You had cell phones, but people would still usually make phone calls. And everybody was texting there because it was so much cheaper than using a phone. And then when I moved to Korea, it was the same. Back then, foreigners couldn't even get phone plans. We had to get prepaid cards, and texting was so much cheaper. And then that just became a thing. You just got used to it. So when you got a phone call, you didn't even really want to answer it because it was going to be too expensive.
그래요. 뭐 비용의 문제도 있겠지만 그냥 전화하는 것 자체에 대한 거부감이나 좀 심하게 말하면 공포가 있다라는 해석도 나오고 있습니다. 영국의 18세에서 34세 2,000명을 대상으로 한 이 설문조사에서 70% 정도가 나는 전화를 받는 것보다는 문자가 좋다 이렇게 대답을 했대요. So when you do something via text, what does that mean?
It means that's the method you're using. That's the mode of the method of communication that you're using.
Yep.
By way of, you can say it that way. So a lot of times people will say you can contact us via email, phone, or text.
네, 무엇을 통해서, 무엇을 매개로 할 때 via 둘 다 발음은 되고요. 그다음에 텍스트가 문자입니다. What if you recognize someone or don't recognize someone? What does that mean?
It means you know who that person is. You've seen them before. You've heard them before.
Yep.
You recognize also, you'll see if you're watching on Bohemian Radio or on YouTube, the spelling of recognize can also be spelled with a Z instead of an S.
Yep.
So the RECOGNISE, that's the British spelling. If it ends with ZE, that's the American spelling.
How do you spell it in Canada?
Both. I think usually that one with the Z though.
Okay. 아, 그렇군요.
Yeah.
자, 그 많은 영어 단어 중에 영국과 미국, 북미권에서 쓰는 스펠링이 다른 경우가 많아요. recognize도 그 중에 하나입니다. 뒤에 SE로 쓸 수도 있고 ZE로 쓸 수도 있습니다.
Funny, last week I got a message from one of my friends, and his wife listens to this show. She didn't know I was on it, and then she was like, I recognize that voice. So then she looked on YouTube and saw it was me. She never knew I was on the show.
Ray.
Yeah.
그래요. 자, 다시 제가 읽어보겠습니다. A recent survey has found that a quarter of people aged 18 to 34 in the UK never answer the phone, with respondents saying they ignore the ringing, respond via text, or search the number online if they don't recognize it. And here's our final headline.
Following the announcement of the iconic band Oasis's long-awaited reunion tour, hotel rates around gig venues have skyrocketed, leading to fans expressing astonishment and outrage on social media.
유명 밴드 오아시스가 대망의 재결합 공연 일정을 발표하면서 공연장 주변 호텔의 숙박비가 치솟자 소셜미디어에서 팬들의 경악과 원성이 이어졌습니다. Okay, so two things to look at here. Oasis is having a tour and hotel rates have skyrocketed.
Yeah, they're back together. So
Yeah.
Liam and Noel and Liam Gallagher, they have not got along for the last decade and a half. For 15 years, they haven't performed together.
They're brothers,
They're
right?
brothers. They're
Yeah,
both
okay.
kind of.
Yeah.
I like them as musicians, but personally, I don't particularly think either of them are very good people, especially Liam.
Okay.
I've seen interviews and he's really condescending and rude.
Oh, dear.
But they're good. They're good musicians.
Great
They're great
musicians,
musicians,
yeah,
right? So apparently they've buried the hatchet.
Oh.
They've confirmed performances in Cardiff, Manchester, London, Edinburgh, and Dublin next year. And because they haven't been performing together for 15 years, this is going to attract a lot of domestic UK audiences as well as a lot of people internationally. So what's happening because of that? Accommodation prices are just skyrocketing. People on social media have been mentioning this. One quote that I found interesting said if you check for hotels around the locations and dates of the Oasis tour, they're either mysteriously sold out or prices have tripled from what you'd normally see.
Well, this tour is nonetheless a long-awaited tour.
Oh, for sure. People have been waiting for this and wanting something to happen.
long-awaited 그러면은 사람들이 오래 기다려온이라는 하나의 형용사가 되는 겁니다. 그래서 long-awated라는 표현이고요. astonishment.
It's when you feeling of great surprise. You can't believe something. It kind of blows you away and shocks you because it's so surprising.
네, 깜짝 놀라는 거를 astonishment라고 하는데요. 이거는 긍정적으로 쓸 수도 있고 부정적으로도 쓸 수 있어요. 그래서 너무 놀라울 정도로 뭔가가 일어났을 때, wow, I'm so astonished. 이렇게 좋게 말할 수도 있고, 아니면 oh my goodness, I'm astonished. 이게 좀 안 좋게 말할 수도 있는데 말투, 어감 이런 거에 따라서 좀 다르게 볼 수 있겠죠.
Sometimes it's used a little bit for some negative things sometimes because you're blown away that it's actually happening. You can't believe that someone would maybe do that thing.
Exactly.
It's not always bad though.
No, exactly. 맞아. 좋은 의미로 사실 더 많이 쓰이는 것 같아요. 그런데 이제 영한 사전을 보면은 이 깜짝 놀람이라는 그 definition도 있지만 경악이라고 정의되는 경우도 많거든요. 근데 그때는 이제 부정적이잖아요. 근데 사실은 astonishment는 부정적인 것보다는 좀 긍정적인 경우에 많이 쓰입니다. 자, 다시 한번 볼게요. Following the announcement of the iconic band Oasis's long-awaited reunion tour, hotel rates around gig venues have skyrocketed, leading to fans expressing astonishment and outrage on social media. All right, well, that's it for the headlines.